वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदम् गुरुम् मुमुक्षूणाम् हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते. So in this, what was said, that Vasudevendra Yogindram. So we are saluting to Lord Krishna, in whom everything dwells, and who is Devam, who is also illuminating. To such a Lord, Natva Jnana Pradam Gurum. And what does he give? Jnana. He gives the Jnana Pradam Gurum. Mumukshunam Hitarthaya. So, with what intent was this text written? For Mumukshus, who want liberation. Hitarthaya, for the benefit of those people. Tattva Bodho Vidhiyate. This text is being said or being given. Then, the verse 1 was, साधन चतुष्टय संपन्नाधिकारिणां मोक्ष साधन भूतं तत्व विवेक प्रकारं वक्ष्यामः. So this is, we said, was known as a Anubandha Chatushtayam. That means what? Who should study this? This answer was given. One endowed with Sadhana Chatushtayam, the fourfold qualifications. That we are going to see what those fourfold qualifications are. So the question is, can I study this text before knowing what this text means? Yes, you can, because as you go through the text, you will develop those qualities. So you don't need to have 100% of all the qualities, but a little bit of them will help you progress in this text. So who should study this text? One who is endowed with Sadhana Chatushtayam. And what was the purpose of this book? This book was for liberation, for those who are seeking liberation. Moksha sadhana bhutam. For that purpose only this text was written. And what is the subject matter? Is the analysis of the truth. Tattva viveka prakaram. So an analysis of the truth is done and presented to you in a logical manner, and that is the subject matter of this. So all these three things put together is known as a Anubandha Chatushtayam, technically speaking. And then the next verse 2, साधन चतुष्टयम् किम् नित्यानित्यवस्तु विवेकः इह मुत्रार्थ फलभोग विरागः क्षमादिषट्कः सम्पत्तिः मुमुक्षत्वम् चेति. So this whole text itself is in a format of a discussion between the guru and a shishya. So the shishya is asking the teacher, you mentioned the word sadhana chatushtayam. What does it mean? So the teacher just says, it is the nitya vastu vivekaha. Like, then he is going to elaborate all that one by one. It is the viveka in the first phrase. Then the second phrase is, it is the viragaha. And then it is the shat samprattihi. And then mumukshutvam. The four words, he just gave it like that in the second verse. Now the third verse. Nitya vastu vivekah kaha. Nitya vastu ekam brahma. Tadvyatiriktam sarvamanityam. So what is nitya vastu vivekaha? Kaha. What is nitya vastu vivekaha? Like that the student asks the teacher. So he says nitya vastu ekam brahma. There is only one nitya vastu, which is known as the Brahma. And tadvyatiriktam sarvamanityam. Other than that, everything else is temporary. Other than that, it is not nitya. It is not a nitya vastu. Like that the teacher answered in verse number 3. Now in verse number 4, viragah kaha iha swarga bhogeshu ichharahityam. So in this, viragah kaha, the student asks the teacher, what is viragah? You mentioned the word viragah. What is it? So the teacher says, this is dispassion. Verse 3 was talking about viveka, which means the discrimination between the nitya and the anitya vastu. That is the viveka. Nitya vastu vivekaha kaha. Now here viragaha means the dispassion. So the dispassion is, he is elaborating on it. Iha swarga bhogeshu ichharahityam. Iha, here also I do not want to enjoy. In heaven also I do not want to enjoy. I do not want the phala of any of my activities. Like that when you think, when you move away from these worldly things, that is known as dispassion. Ichharahityam. I do not have the desire that I have to enjoy here, I have to do things so that I will enjoy things here and in heaven. Like that, the teacher answers. Then verse number 5. Shamadhi sadhana sampattihi ka Shamodama uparamaha titiksha shraddha samadhanam cha iti. So that student is asking the teacher, Samadhi sadhana sampattihi, that you talk about. So he lists the 6 qualities, Shama Adi, so etc., Shama etc. So he says Shamaha, which is actually the control of the mind, Damaha, which is the control of the senses, Uparamaha, continued control of the senses in the mind, Titiksha, patience, forbearance, tolerance, Shraddha, which is the faith, trust, etc., Samadhana, fixation on the goal. So he lists all these qualities. Now, in the next verse 5.1, the student asks the teacher, Shamaha kaha, mano nigraha. So what is this Shamaha? So the teacher explains it is mano nigraha. It is the control of the mind. What is basically the control of the mind? It is not letting the mind be your master. If you decide, you have to decide. Not let the mind say, oh no, this is very nice, you must do this or you must indulge in this. Like that, when you let your mind take over you, then you become the servant and the mind master. So not doing that is known as shamaha. And then the next verse, damaha kaha chakshuradi bahyendriya nigraha. So the student is asking the teacher, what is damaha? Damaha is the control of the senses, as we know. Chakshuradi, so eyes, etc. Bahyendriya nigraha. Bahya indriya nigraha. Bahya means whatever is pointing outwards. Those things, when you control, like your eyes do not see any bad, your ears, it doesn't hear anything bad, mouth doesn't speak anything bad. Like that, when you do the nigraha of those senses, when you utilize it in the for good things, like your ears are only hearing things about God, spirituality, your eyes are only seeing good things. Like that, when you utilize, that is known as damaha. This is what we saw so far, I think. Now we have to go to the next one, uparamaha. Uparamah kaha swadharmanushthanameva swadharma anushtanam eva. So uparamaha kaha is a question from the student. What is uparamaha? You mentioned the word uparamaha. What is it? So then the teacher replies, Swadharma anushtanam eva. Swadharmam. That is doing your own things only. There are several meanings for uparamaha that we will see. One meaning is continued control of the mind and the senses, I said, is uparamaha. What does it mean? Like there is a child. The child is always running away, right? This child is very naughty. It's a 2-year-old child who just, wants to run and play. So the child will run away from your lap. So what the mother will do is bring the child back. Okay, so the Shamaha and Damaha we have done there. Then the mother has this very difficult task of keeping this child on the lap for some time. She's gone somewhere, she's listening to a lecture. Now she doesn't want the child to run away. So what she will do is try to keep the child in her lap for some time. That kind of control is known as uparamaha. Your senses and your mind have been controlled, but keeping it continuously, not one day. One day you will say, no, I will fast. Or one day you will say that, listen to Bhagavad Gita or will do good things. Not one day. Every day, continuously. That is known as uparamaha. So that one meaning can be taken. And also the second meaning we can take is sannyasaha also. Giving away responsibility. Unnecessary things we don't need to be concerned about. Like if it is not your business, you can stay away from it. And as age comes also, slightly detaching away from your children and giving responsibility and allowing them to take responsibility. When it is not necessary, you don't need to focus on that too much. So that kind of sannyasa for householders. And doing your own duty, karma yoga, that is also uparamaha. All these things will be clubbed together. Karma yoga, what does it do? We will see elaborately in chapter 2. Chapter 2 is focused on karma yoga. He's going to introduce us to karma yoga. It is doing your own duty without expecting results. What is my karma? My role, basically. If I am a daughter, if I am a mother, if I am a wife, I know I have those roles and doing them properly is known as karma yoga. And not expecting anything because somebody is going to give that to me in return. No, that is called karma yoga in very simple terms. So how can you do uparamaha? First of all, you have to observe the mind. the mind will keep running away. It will ask you to run away also. So you have to observe the mind. Where am I getting distracted? Where am I not, having this quality of Uparamaha? Like that, you have to analyze and you have to write down. And being careful and alert as well. So in situations where I know I'm going to lose my control, I will avoid those situations in the beginning. Later, I can always do it because once I have control, I will know I'll be able to control myself. Not being in situations where you will be vulnerable. And satsanga, being in good environment, obviously, is all the upaya or the methods for observing Uparamaha. So what will be the benefits of Uparama? Uparama will again help you to stabilize in Shamaha and Damaha. So this is like a cycle. Once you have mind control, you have sense control, you have sense control, you will have Uparamaha. Once you do Uparamaha, you will be again having the mind and the sense control. So it is like a loop. And Kala Prapti, you will get like a very good quality of time. When you engage in these kind of controls, you will get actually very good quality of time. Because our indriyas are always going out. They want to enjoy, I want to enjoy. So that wastes your energy actually. So if you keep that under control, it will give you good quality of time. So this is all for this.